Welcome to part 2 of Competency 6 quiz. In this video, we will continue working with properties of functions. Okay, number 9. Which of the following points lies in the solution region of, we have a piecewise situation. So let's go ahead and get started. And let's start with the very last one. And I'm going to use this purple to kind of show that. Well, we know that x has got to be greater than 0. So if x equals 0, that means that we're looking at the y-axis as the line. However, we have to use a dashed line. We cannot include the line. And looking at our ABCD options, none of those have a 0 in them, so they wouldn't be on the axis anyway, either axis. So let's go ahead and color that in. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, but we do have to show that this is what we want for that condition. Okay. All right, now, oh, and by the way, I want to note that see how I have this nice little uh, grid that you can draw on? Probably not going to be the case in the test. In fact, I'm sure it's not. You would have to sketch it out for yourself or uh, ask for some paper, or if they had graph paper, you could do it though. It could be done. All right. Okay. So now let's look at the next one. Let's go with this pink. So I am going to write this in y-intercept form. So all my y values are greater than or equal to 2 minus 2x. So I know that I have a b value of 2, which is right there. And then my slope is going down 1, 2 over 1. 1, 2 over 1. 1, 2 over 1. Now I can go backwards 1, up 2. Okay. All right. So then I see a good line, and I need a solid line because it says greater than or equal to. So I will do that the best that I can. Okay, here. I'm not the best. I know I'm not. But we know that this is going to be all of this region. So now we know that we have some areas that we can count out already. We see some things like anything that's solid white right now. Okay, but we're not done yet. So let's go to a different color, and I want to make this, let's contrast just a little more. Okay. All right. So now we're going to deal with this guy right here. So what do we have? I see 2y is less than or equal to -3, but a plus x when we move that x over. We have to add x to both sides, okay? But now we're going to divide by 2, and that means divide each term. What do we have? We know y is still going to be, because not x, 2 is positive, so you're dividing by positive, so you don't flip the inequality around. So the condition is still, it will still be that y is less than or equal to -3 over 2 plus 1/2 x, okay? All right, so what do we have here? Well, let's see, I have this. Let's see, that is -1/2. So there's 1, there's -1/2. Okay, that's my b value. But I need to go positive. My slope is positive. So my line, and it will be a solid line. So I'm going to go up 1 over 1, 2, right there. Up 1 over 1, 2. Okay? All right, then let's go backwards. Back 2, down 1. Back 2, down 1. Okay. So my straight line will look something like this. All right, well, that's not half bad. Okay, now, but all my y's will be less. Okay, all right, now, the only valid region is the region with with both, all three colors, sorry, all three colors. Okay, so let's change to another highlighter. All three colors would be in this little zone. Okay, so let's look at some dots that are not in that zone. Okay, well, all the dots. Let's see. I have -2, we're looking at A, -2, 6, let's see, 2, somewhere up here. No, well, obviously not. That's not going to work. A's out. Let's look at B. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. Here, no, not going to work. Okay, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's 5. Go down 6. Ooh. Well, let's see. Let's 5 right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, yeah, definitely. It kind of down like right in here, but we know that this goes down. So I would say I'm actually going to put that there. If we follow through here, I would say that we would catch everything. That's in the zone. So I'm going to say option C is correct. Well, let's look at D. That would be plus a 1, a +1 down to, well, that's going to be here. That's not in that good sweet spot we need. So C is the actual option. So it's going to take some quick sketching. This particular kind of problem, because we don't have a graphing calculator, it would take you more time if you had that on any kind of a test. So that's why you want to use your calculator quickly for other items, okay? All right, so let's go here to number 10. The time to complete a project varies inversely. Okay, that's important. Inversely with the number of employees. Okay, so we have time and employees. Let's do this. Time, number of employees, set up a fraction. Right now, it says if 3 people can complete a project in 7 days, how long will it take 5 people? All right, so what are we doing here? So we have 3 people, but it's inverse. So you can't go straight across. You have to go down. Okay. You have to go crosswise, like making an X. Okay. So that's where we put our 7. Okay. Whoa, I got that backwards. Sorry. We have 7 days, number of people. Much better. Now, how long would it take if you had 5 people? Obviously, that's where the X goes. That looks a lot better. So now what are we looking at? We are looking at X equals 21. 3 times 7 is 21 and divide by 5. Put that in our calculator. Okay, as you see, what I'm doing is I'm skipping steps, yes, but I'm going to go across and say 7 times the 3. And now, because the 5 is across from the X, that is where I divide by 5. All right, push enter, but we have to push our toggle to get our 4.2. All right, so option B, that's what we need. It has been verified. All right, let's go on to number 11. Number 11, which of the following represents a graph of 3 greater than x? Okay, first, we know that we need an open circle because it's simply an inequality. It is not uh, greater than or equal to. There is no line below, so we need the open circle. So anything with a closed circle, regardless of which direction or what it is, mark it out. So that is B and C. Now we have 2 open circles. We need the open circle to be above the 3, but all of the line pointing towards the negative direction, meaning all the x's are less. Well, A is on -3. That's not correct. So mark out A. And yes, D, it opens above 3. I agree with that. And my line all goes less, and it says, hey, we're going to continue past that -3. So yes, I say D is the correct option. Okay, now let's look at number 12. Okay. Gasoline is used at a constant rate from the gas tank of a car. Use the table below to answer the following questions. Okay, and they give us the table. And 12 says, write an equation g of x that represents the data given in the table. Well, what do we need to do? Don't sit and do that by hand. Oh my goodness, let's not do that. Okay, what do? We push data, all right? And if we have anything in there, just keep pushing delete till it's all gone. Right, yeah, and you use delete for this calculator. Now, if you're trying to use a TI-84 right now, one, that's for the 7 to 12 test, and don't use delete. That can be dangerous. You need to be using clear, okay? Calculators vary on how we handle them, okay? All right, but for this calculator, we got a good deal because if you try to arrow up, we cannot highlight what is the L1 and the L2. Above that, see how they're labeled? That says L2. Here, let me see if I can get it. There. That says L1, and then over here you have another. We're only using these two lists, okay? So let's pop back over. And L1 is hours. And if you haven't heard me say this little phrase, 90% of the time is the x-axis, meaning it's first and it's L1. Then gallons are the big answer. You know, as we travel over time, that's how many gallons are used. So that's our Y, and it is our L2. So I'm going to put X here, Y here. Okay. So this gives you a gauge of what we're doing here. Okay. So now let's enter. So looks like we need 0 to 5 for our X's. 0, enter 1, enter 2, enter 3, enter 4, enter 5, enter. Okay, great. Now we pop over and we start at 10. Okay, so 10 and it goes down by twos, then 8, then 6, then 4, then 2, then finally we are out of gas, I suppose. You could say that. All right, we need to go to a gas station at this point, or hopefully before, whatever. This would be how we build our equation. Well, if you haven't watched the other videos with me, just do this. Okay, first you go second mode. You got to back all the way out, or you'll be typing in one of those cells. And that's not what we want to do. Now we use the same button, but you push second data. Now this gets me to where I can deal. But we want two vars. That means two variables. Yes, because we have an X and a Y, right? So go down to number 2, push enter. Now everything is set up the way we want. I mean, I just kind of leave it that way because that's what we're doing. Now that may not be the case in future for you, okay? So the X's are in L1, and as you see, the Y's are in L2. So we go to calculate. That's what calc is, calculate. All right, enter. But this gives me a bunch of other things that is more for stats. It's okay. You need to just simply, you can arrow up or down. Well, in the other videos, I arrow down. So let's arrow up in this video. See how I start getting letters? We'll keep going until you get A. All these things mean something. We want A and B. That's how we create. Remember, M is slope, and in our calculator, that's our A. But B is our intercept, okay? So what do? We have g of x, which is our y, equals, all right, our a is -2. That equals -2x. And then we have a plus 10 for our b. And there you go. We have the correct option. We can get rid of all these others. Perfect. Now, here's the thing. Hold on to that thought. We have it written down. Sketch it somewhere really quick because I happen to know, and also a hint, it says use the table below to answer the following questions. So I bet we're not done with this. But you have it in your calculator. Jot it down quickly and let's keep going. We're going to go on to number 13, okay? Number 13, which graph represents the data in the table above? Okay, I left the calculator where we had it so we know what we need, right? So uh, we kind of know what's going on here and we can also put that in the table, okay? First, our slope is negative. So get rid of any line that's going up. Well, that coincidentally is C and D. They're not going down. Now, next, our B value is 10. Well, A is not 10. Mark it out. And this tells me that B is what we need. Now, double check your slope. Well, I have that our slope equals, I'm supposed to equal -2. So what do we have? I have -10 over positive. Well, that's 5. That's right in the middle. That's +5. And that is -2. So B is verified. Fabulous. All right. Let's go on to number 14. And it looks like 14 has nothing to do with that. So we can go ahead and go back out of that. All right. But what does -14 say? I mean, number 14 say the area of a rectangle is 44 square inches and the perimeter is 80 inches. If the length is 32 inches greater than the width, what is the measure of the length and width to the nearest inches? Okay. Well, that's a lot going on there. All right. So I have provided for you a rectangle so you can write on it. You'll have to sketch this yourself in your test. They're not that nice on the test, okay? But we're practicing here, and you know that you will need scratch paper to do a little bit of writing during the test. Don't do too much because if your calculator can do it for you, allow the calculator to do that for you. Okay, so let's start dealing with this, okay? So I know I have width here, and length here, okay? So area, they're saying area is 144. So I know length times width equals 144. Perimeter. What is perimeter? Now that's different. Perimeter is this. Perimeter is going to equal 80 inches, but we have, and this is also L. Now I scooted over because I need L. They've told me what L equals, okay, what our length equals. Either way, but let me start writing some things down here. We have two lengths. Okay, remember perimeter is adding up the sides. So I have two lengths plus two widths equals 80 inches. Okay, and notice that our area is also in square inches. So that means I don't have a conversion issue. Very convenient. That's one of those blessings, okay? Obviously, they don't want to test you on that right now. Okay, so what can we do? Well, now let's look at the second sentence. The length is equal to 32 inches greater than the width. So the width plus 32. So I can do some substituting and figure out some things here. Well, I'm thinking we need to use the area. Okay. All right. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to do this. It's always best on this type of situation to do the area because we're using the calculator. Let me show you why. Okay. I'm going to take, remember, it's width times length or length times width, whichever you want to call it. I will say W times, right? And what is our length? We need to put it in there. W plus 32, and that all equals 144. Now we are creating an equation we can put in our calculator. So what do we have? W squared, which will be X in our calculator in a minute, okay? Plus 32W. Now subtract 144 from both sides. That gives us minus 144 equals 0. And the key here is going to be what equals 0. Okay? Let's put that in the calculator under table. All right. And then what are we going to look for? Well, all of these guys right here in the W. And remember, W equals X. We're going to look at our X and see when it equals 0 on the Y side. Let's do this. Clear this out. Okay, so I see W's X, remember, X squared plus 32X minus 140. Oops, get rid of that. So you see I backed up and push delete. Okay, now let's enter. Let's start it. Let's start it. Zero's okay, but we know we're counting at 1. Now we could, yeah, let's do 0, 1, and let's go ask. So see where I'm highlighting an auto? Nah, let's do ask. And go enter, enter. Now this is from prior, so let's delete everything out. Delete, enter, delete, delete. Now, let's go up and say 2 and enter. That's not 0. Okay. 4, enter. 4 is 0. I like it. So I'm going to put a circle around that. It could work, but let's keep going. 6, enter. Nope. 8, enter, and no. So this gives us a possibility. Well, how do we double check? We do this. Come right here to we need our length to check and see if it's 36. So L equals, well, W would be 4 plus 32. And yes, that equals 36, check mark. Now, we can even check further. Let's see if 4 times 36 equals 144. Second mode to back out. So we are double checking C to verify that is the area we want. So 4 times 36 equals 144. Everything has been verified. Okay. All right. That is the last question in this video. Thank you for watching and making it to the end. I really hope my little calculator explanations are helpful. And thank you guys for subscribing, liking, and sharing all of our videos. We really appreciate it. Happy testing.